the Music Theory Lady. Hey guys, welcome back to the Music Theory Lady. Today we're talking about Basics of Notation 2. We're going to be talking about bar lines, keys on the piano, and accidentals. So when it comes to bar lines divide staff into measures. And a measure is the space between two bar lines. So this is kind of how we organize music, so it's a little bit easier to reference the music or study the music, and it kind of helps you find your way like a bookmark. A double bar line at the end of the music is how we either split the music into sections or actually have a the end to it. If it's a skinny double bar line, it's usually the end of a section, some kind of change is happening in the music that's drastic, or if you have that thicker line at the very end, it means it's the absolute end of the piece. As you can see, the bar lines and grand staff connect all the way from the very top of the top line of the staff all the way to the bottom line of the bottom staff. So that's another way that we can connect those two lines of staff to make them into the grand staff. All right, we're going to talk about the piano, but before we can talk about the piano, you need to understand half steps and whole steps. A half step, otherwise known as a semitone, is the smallest interval in Western music, and it's like on the piano, I'll show you on my piano here, down here, on the piano movement from one key to the very next key without skipping any keys in between. So for instance, if I go from this white key to this white key, I haven't skipped any keys because there are no keys in between the two. However, if I try to go from this white key to this white key, I haven't gone a half step, I've gone more than a half step because there's this black key in between. So a half step is always to the very next key without skipping any in between. But then we talk about a whole step, and a whole step is two half steps or two semitones. So that's where you would skip one key in between. So for instance, here's this note, and I go up one half step and up another half step, and so from this white key to this white key is a whole step. Notice that there are different groupings on the piano. You've got different pairs of the black keys. You've got two black keys, three black keys, two black keys, three black keys, all the way up and down the piano. If you find a group of two black keys, the note just to the left is going to be C every single time. So there's a C, here's another group of two, there's a C, here's another group of two, there's a C, so on and so forth, all the way across the piano. And then all of the white keys are normal letter names, and within the musical alphabet, that means A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then restarting at A. So if I fill those in on my piano down here, I've got D, E, F, G, A, B, and then we come back to C. So then you can just fill in the rest of the piano so that you know those keys. Then that brings us to accidentals. Accidentals are symbols that affect the pitch of the note on the staff. So a sharp looks kind of like a hashtag, and it raises the pitch by a half step. Then you have a flat, which looks like a squashed B, that lowers the pitch a half step. Each black key on the piano has two names, a sharp and a flat name, and this is what we call inharmonic. Inharmonic means a pitch has two or more names that can be attributed to it. And if you go up on the piano or to the right from any white key, that would be its sharp version on that black key. So for instance, if I go up a half step from C to this black key here, I would have C sharp. If I go up a half step from this D, I would have D sharp. And I would have the same for F sharp and G sharp and A sharp, and then all of the rest of the keys on the piano would be sharps. Flat names. If you go down on the piano or to the left a half step from a white key, you'll find its flat name. So for instance, if I go down a half step from this D, I would find D flat on that black key. If I go down a half step from this E, I would find E flat on this black key, and so on and so forth for G flat, A flat, B flat, and then the rest of the piano. But then there's other accidentals that we have to talk about in AP Music Theory, and those are the double accidentals. Who even knew this was a thing? Double flat, which just looks like two flats right next to each other, lowers the pitch two half steps or one whole step. And then the double sharp, which be careful because the symbol is not just two sharps, it's actually a stylized X. In my class, we just draw an X when we're drawing it on the staff, and that means to raise the pitch 2 half steps or a whole step. So every key on the piano is technically inharmonic. I think a lot of us who are used to looking at the piano, who've maybe learned a little bit of music theory before now, just thought it was the black keys that have more than one name, but actually every single key on the piano can have more than one name. For example, G, if you're looking at it as 2 half steps up from F, could also be called F double sharp. F could also be called, if you're looking at it going 2 half steps down from G, could be called G double flat. So every single key on the piano could actually have 2 or more names. Some of the most common ones would be B going up a half step, that would be B sharp instead of C. C going down a half step would be C flat instead of B. And the same for the E and F relationship. E going up a half step would be E sharp instead of F. F going down a half step would be F flat instead of E. So every single key on the piano has lots of different names that you have to know. Although I will tell you that the ones that we originally drew on the white keys and the 2 names we originally gave to the black keys are the most common names that we use for those keys on the piano. And that's it for today, you guys. Thanks for watching, and as always, remember to subscribe. Bye!